What's going on, WeldTube family? Welcome back, man. Today's a great day. Got to mention something. We now have a WeldTube squad. We got me, got Chesham Welding, Travis Field, Abraham, Jacob Schofield, Michael Tomek, thanks to him as well. And also look out for WeldTube going to Colorado, Australia, and Canada. So y'all be looking out for that as well. Before we get into anything, all right? Like I said before, we got Chesham Welding. This is our special guest, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Yeah. Let them know what you're about, brother. Where you from?
Hey guys, just from
Sydney, Australia.
Just luckily enough to be collabing with you guys. Let's be up here.
Nice.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Anytime. Travis, anything to say?
Oh, I'm just happy to be here, you know. I'm very grateful to South Coast Welding Academy and Alan, who's doing business and everything. I'm just very grateful to be here, and also for Outlaw Leather. Fantastic work they do.
Oh, what is that on your arm, bro?
Oh, it's just this nice arm for every time I have to deal with high heat.
Nice,
you know, it'd be awesome.
Nice. Shout out to Outlaw on that part.
Outlaw Leather.
Sweet. Abraham, anything to say?
I'm just grateful to be here.
There you go. With the best.
Happy.
All right, sweet. So, guys, what are y'all about to do? Because me and Abraham are about to get out the way and let y'all take over. So let them know what y'all about to do right now. What's all this?
Just gonna get down on some 12-inch.
Yeah.
375 wall.
Sweet. All righty, but is it true what they say? Is there a lot of kangaroos over there in Australia?
Well, I did send me that one video on Instagram there. Out in his backyard. He's trying to call it around like a dog almost. He's trying to say hello to Travis for me.
All righty, sweet. I just wanted to make sure. By the way, go ahead and do y'all's thing, all right? They're going to take over. By the way, he is going to be using a Miller Pipe Pro 400, and Travis is going to be using a 1966 Lincoln Redface SA200. They're going to go to town. They're going to tell you what fits best for them, and we're about to get going. Go ahead and take over. Peace. All right.
Cool.
Good.
Is there anything you have to do?
Might just make it just.
Hey guys, Klay Chesham here of Chesham Welding, here with Travis Field. We're going to tag team this 12-inch 375 wall. I got a bit of a tight gap on the side here and a bit bigger on the top, so I'll be dragging it in pretty quick with not much pressure on the top until I get down to the side. I'll be driving that right in and probably be bumping up the remote. I'll be using Miller Pipe Pro, courtesy of Will. And what are you doing?
Okay, basically what I'm going to do on here, this is a 12-inch 375 wall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start on my knees here, and I'm going to use a body positioning where I'm just on my knees, so that keeps more stability and stable movements, and also body ergonomics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come at the pipe at a 45-degree angle, and I'm just going to have my legs apart, and I'm just going to fall towards it. So I'm going to fall towards it. I have everything up here, but I also have my stinger pointing away from me here. So as I go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start welding, and there's different things I can do. I can have, essentially you want just the weight of the stinger as your amount of pressure you're putting onto the material, but it's going to be weight of the stinger, and then sometimes there might be spots where, you know, one bevel tip is not burning away evenly, so you want to put a little bit of side pressure. Sometimes if the welding current is not high enough, I want to keep the welding puddle kind of flowing and moving. I don't want the fingernail, and give a little bit of a shake movement. But overall it's going to be held perpendicular. So as I start progressing down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. It's going to go like this, slight down, and then now I'm going to get to a point where my line of sight now matches up with going down the electrode. But as I do that, I'm going to also lower my legs here down towards my butt like this. But I'm going to go lower, and I'm going to start dropping the shoulder. And as I'm dropping the shoulder, I'm also rotating the stinger, so my welding helmet starts turning, and I'm more like this. But it's going to be perpendicular to the pipe. So I'm going to start going down. I'm going to lower my back end, start dropping my shoulder, drop my shoulder, and I get to a point where I drop my shoulder all the way down and my legs all the way down. As I get down towards the pipe, now that's when my shoulder's now down towards the ground here, and I'm going to use my legs to push them underneath the pipe. But I'm going to use my, as it turns from here, it starts turning like that, and it starts turning like that, so I don't get my whole arm under there to burn my hand here. But the other thing with the pipe, what I'm going to be doing is a 1966 Lincoln Redface SA200. I'm going to be using these particular settings. Typically, you always want to have a higher amperage ratio and lower voltage ratio. So they get volt amp curves of more stiffer arc characteristics, more dry, more dig. But the most important thing is when you manipulate the arc length, you want your immediate amperage and voltage to have more dramatic change. So when I hold a tight arc or any adjustments of the arc length, I'm going to have a more grandiose adjustment of the immediate amperage and voltage. So I'm going to do that for the root pass and the hot pass, but when I get to the fill and the cap pass, I need softer arc characteristics. And the point of the fill pass is just to fill the pipe. I don't need it to dig and chew like the hot pass, not bringing anything out, I'm just filling it. So I'm going to use a arc characteristics where I'm lesser amperage ratio and higher voltage ratios to get softer arc characteristics.
Well, get into my technique, it'll be pretty similar to Travis. I'll start on my knees. I will be dragging the top in because there's a bit of a bigger gap here. I drag it with a bit of a longer arc length, dragging it in pretty quick until it gets down to the side here where it's closed up. And I'll be yelling out to Will going up. So I'm getting the pano, getting in there till as far as I can get around with the rod. Probably jump down on the back, get the whole bottom. Then just pretty simple because I'm using the inverter. So it's probably 130 amp on the root, 145, 150 for hot pass, and just pretty simple stitch. Trying to get enough, burn out all those tracks on the root and leave enough to get a pretty easy fill and flush enough for a good cap.
Basically, what I'm going to do for the hot pass, I'm going to throw settings for a Lincoln SA400i, a machine that I'm very familiar with that I own, instead of the SA200. It's a little bit easier to explain different settings. The bead would be a third gear and 30%. If I was going to hot pass, we're going to be hot passing with a 532 electrode. It's a size larger than the 1/8 electrode. I want to keep the same exact arc characteristics as the 1/8 electrode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to fourth gear and 30%. And basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to hold the electrode perpendicular and everything. I'm going to be using like a very whisking motion. But the idea of it, the logic of it, is when I whisk in a downward stroke, it chews into the parent material, the root pass, and it digs and it pushes the bead in. When I whisk up, and it's very minimal movements, it's very hard to see, it's just very minimal movements. When I whisk up, it fills the keyhole and it washes outwards, so it's not going to leave no narrow bead, high crown. And it's going to spray outwards to the valve tips and keep it very flush. So when I go over with the fill passes, I don't have to touch anything with the grinder, I can just buff it. What I've done here is I have just only touched the high spots. I have a lot of slag and everything. I just touched the high spots. Some welders would say, you know, it just ground too much, but I just hold on for like a couple seconds, just remove the high spots. It's just to help me get more length with the electrode size here, you know, because I want to do 532 here to here, and then 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Get 2 rods in this.
Pretty much again, there's It's going to be a bit simpler on the amperage, running the inverter. So I think we're up to 60 on the remote, and it's just a stroke it out. So you burn those wagon tracks out, and then fill in what you burn out.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the body positioning. This is what I've been using for the root bead all the way through to the cap. But what is very important here is the very short, minute little things that an average welder may not notice at first. I'm going to come at 45-degree angle, same as the bead. I'm going to have my legs, knees apart, and I'm just going to fall towards the pipe. I'm going to be up here. So if you notice, the welding string is pointing away from me, and I have good visual here. I'm going to start welding, and I'm going to lower my back end here. I'm going to start coming up with my line of sight here, start digging. I'm going to start dropping the shoulder, which is very important, because if I don't drop my shoulder, I get into trouble here. So I'm going to go back up here, I'm going to start dropping my shoulder, but while I turn my shoulder, I'm also going to start rotating the stinger. My helmet is going to start turning with the line of sight. It's going to start turning line of sight. When I get to the bottom here, I'm going to start having the welding stinger pointing away from me, so I don't burn my whole hand under there. But also notice where I'm holding it. I'm not holding it up here, I'm holding it down here. I get a lot of nice movement with that. So I'm going to do a very short, little quick run here. Okay. Done with the Lincoln, 1966. Still beautiful. Not as nice as Clay's though. Clay's is like a magician over here. Hey there guys, we are back here. We have Klay Chesham here, and I think it's very awesome that we captured this on film, because I get to jump on Clay's side here and I can see what he did here, because I was so busy welding here, I didn't get to see that nice weld there. It's so gorgeous. So it's just, it's something else. Like it's incredible. But if it wasn't for Jerry College of Welding, I know I would not be here. So I got to give a shout out to Jerry. And yeah, Clay, do you got anything to say?
Yeah. Oh, just a massive shout out to WeldTube, Amar, Alan,
Abraham.
Yeah, part of the WeldTube Squad. And massive shout out to Will Simpson.
Oh yeah, come on, Will. Yeah.
Lending his miller for us to demo today and all his tools when we were after some grinders.
And his welding machine, his miller, and yeah. So he ran the miller, did a fantastic job. I ran the 66 Lincoln, and it was gorgeous too, you know. But yeah, right on.
Next one, definitely be having to try that.
Yeah.
The Miller 200, the Lincoln SA 200.
Oh no, terrible machine. Just leave it to me.
No good?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah, man. Looking awesome, man. I should get the slick caps.
That's what I think of your weld. Take it all.